I got thrown off because you
I
said
think we said the same thing.
you said 21 Pilots, 2010s. I'm like, what? Weren't they like a 90s band? Like, oh, that's Stone Temple.
Stone Temple Pilots.
No.
I thought the same thing.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Clean Meats, the second one. We are here with another panel of four. We think this is kind of the sweet spot for this podcast series. We are here with two new guests, and then Steve, who's the recurring one.
Always here.
We're here with Abby Volk, and we're here with Rashida Curtis. Everyone is are folks that I respect a lot musically. I've played in bands with Steve since I was a kid. Abby's a music therapist. Rashida is trained musically as well. I got to hear her do special music when I visited in Chicago. And that's just to lay the groundwork for the fact that this is going to be a podcast about music. So the theme, also in keeping with the previous episode, and because I have an unreasonable amount of football podcast intake in my life, is we're going to do another draft. And this time we're going to draft our favorite religious songs or sort of spiritually relevant songs by secular artists. So there are going to be a lot of caveats to this. So it could be directly religious. It can be covering a topic that we think is really important to conversion, but maybe wasn't necessarily intended that way. I think some people are going to do some hot takes in terms of songs that maybe are neither of those things, but if you change the way you viewed it and like imagine a different context, that it could work as a religious song. Hopefully
That will be me.
Yeah. hopefully we'll get to know a bit about each one of us, our musical taste. Music's important for worship, and maybe get a conversation going about the kinds of music we all listen to. But before we do that, Rashida Curtis is our newest board member, and so we have to give her some time to introduce herself. We're really excited to have her. She's been on for a couple months now, known her for a few years. We are really pumped to have her. So Rashida, tell us a tad about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everybody. Hi to the interwebs. So a little bit about me. I'm from Chicago. And so I'm a second generation believer. I was born in the church, been here since infancy, pardon me. We attended CGI Chicago, and then they split. And so we migrated to an independent group called Active Bible Church of God. And then a few years after that, my father became the pastor, and he shepherded the flock until he passed 2 years ago. But I still attend there to this day. As for my professional background, you're correct. I was a professional actor for 5 years, and then I stepped away because the Father was actually leading me away from the industry to lead a closer walk with him. So since then, it's been a ride. I like to say that I'm a cat with a resume. I've had a lot of professional lives, from hospitality to investment banking to private equity to toddler ballet schools. So there's a chapter for everything there. Where leads I go. Yeah.
We've all had the toddler ballet era of our work career.
So again, wherever he leads, I go. But I am so happy that he has led me here to join the ranks of CGN. And I'm excited to be the new kid on the block, or the new kid on the board. Old kid, but kid nonetheless.
We're all by this point.
I know. I can't say young adult anymore.
Me, no.
No, yeah, well, Abby's the youngest, so. Yeah.
But seriously, you guys are a well-oiled machine. So I'm prayerfully asking for guidance on how I can best serve you guys, because you guys got it under control and so inspiring. But I'm happy to be here. So that's me in the tiniest of nutshells.
I'm pumped to do this. Abby, maybe a little bit about your background, because you are a music therapist, which I'm sure is a bit niche for the average person. So why don't you tell folks what you do? You have quite a reservoir of songs in your bag as well for performing.
Yeah, I am a music therapist. I work with geriatrics. I've been doing that now, practicing it's been a short amount of time, probably like about 7-8 months, but I got my degree back in 2021. I did my internship in California at a hospice company. I wanted to go into geriatrics just because I'm an old person in my soul. So I just relate to the old,
which is why this is going to go well.
Yeah. I've always been like 80 years old inside. So I just relate to that population really well, but music has been the thing that like stuck out to me ever since I was in high school. It felt like a calling. Other than this calling, music was the other calling. And so I knew from high school I had to go into something musical. I really, really loved the idea of serving with music and I wanted to do that. So when I was in college, that's when I started my music therapy degree. But yeah, it's been, I I love it. I have, yes, I know lots of different kinds of music and I have to play that for the residents that I work for right now. And it's great because I don't know, I get to learn new stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. So what we will do to get started is I have a draft order generator, like randomizer. So this is going to be, again, a snake draft like the last one. So for those who do not follow sports, it means whoever goes last in that first round will go first in the next. It's like forward this way and then back. So who's going to go? I'm going to go first.
Oh, ditto. We'll just get...
It's me and then Steve and then Rashida, then Abby. So Abby does get the turn, which is actually, that's sort of what I wanted. You get two in a row. So, okay.
This isn't going to be like a very overlapping draft because there's so much content out there. I doubt we'll steal each other's, but okay.
We'll see. I'm always nervous with these things, right? Because something will happen and we'll get sniped and then you have to scramble and you're like,
I do like going first because Steve and I don't want to say we cheated a bit, but Steve and I have an understanding he wasn't going to take my first choice. So I'll just start with that. So now it's like a moot point. My favorite song, and you'll notice a theme for me with my choices in terms of the way in which I view these as faith-based and religious. My favorite religious song by a secular artist is If I Ever Lose My Faith in You by Sting. I think it is like a perfect song, top to bottom. I think musically it's beautiful. It's so intricate. I love Sting, big fan of Sting. And I encourage you to listen to the song and read the lyrics through the lens of the gospel as we understand it, which is that mankind cannot govern itself. That why it's God's coming kingdom. Why is God's kingdom coming? Because mankind can't govern itself. And the whole song is about, and I've read interviews with him about, hey, what is the context through which you wrote this? And he did actually write it in a way that was accessible to a lot of different kinds of people. It's not actually like about a woman. It's not this like hyperbolic romantic relationship. It is meant to be appealing to folks who have a belief in something greater. And so he has a couple lines. We're not going to recite all the lyrics, but he goes through all these things that he's lost faith in. And he has commentary on certain things like, I never saw a miracle of science that didn't go from blessing to a curse. I never saw a military solution that didn't end up as something worse. And then, but if I lose my faith in you, there wouldn't be anything left. Like and I think that is the gospel in a nutshell. I know that's not where Sting's coming from. I know none of the artists, that's the whole point of this, but I love that song so much. And that is my first choice. So Steve, you get the second one.
Good way to start off, I'll say. And to back up your point, people could be accidentally correct, right? And and people are writing about stuff and things that are impactful to them, and they see these things in the world.
That's a great point, by the way, because at least for some of my choices, that's going to be part of it, which is the average person, they do get windows into truth.
Yeah,
they see reality for what it is, the human experience for what it is, and for me, that's part of it. That's sort of heartbreaking about the human experience is that, they're not being called right now. They will eventually. But that's a big part of the context of this. So Steve, what's
So my first one, kind of similarly to yours in terms of it, when I read the lyrics of this particular song, there's a lot of it's mostly about like caring for people. And this song's actually been a big impact on me ever since I was a teenager, I think. And I do consider this one of my top 50, I think, songs. It's up there. And that is...
ranks a lot.
I rank a lot. I do rank a lot.
Yeah.
And this is Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. And outside of it being a beautiful song, and Art Garfunkel is a fantastic vocalist. If you've never listened to Simon & Garfunkel, I don't know why you haven't, and you should. That's number one. And number two, what was you saying? It's just like the lyrics about the song is just like the kindness showing other people. It's like it's sort of a romantic song, but it's kind of not. Like you go through the lyrics, and it's about comfort, and it's about helping people through rough times, and then is a very important part of the Christian walk, right? And not that this was. Not that they're unintentionally correct here, right? And Paul Simon didn't unintentionally write this song. It was just like this is something that I think people generally see as like we need to be treating people in a certain way. And so when we see, especially people who espouse some kind of Christian ideal or just like generic religious ideal, but yet they don't treat people this way, it comes across as hypocrisy. And so I think this song in particular was something I kind of always listened to, and I was like, I want to emulate part of my life around some of the things that are here. But of course, it's interesting because as life gets thrown at you, it actually becomes harder to be a comforter, I think, because sometimes you get jaded or things happen to you and you now maybe you don't know how to relate to other people, or maybe you have a big idea of like, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to comfort people. And then you're face to face with something quite traumatic and you have no idea what to do. And so those are the things where still continue to hold to the ideals that I think are in the song, where it talks about right laying down yourself for somebody else, comforting other people, and just being there for other people. And that's what we're all here for. But that's one to get that one out of the way, because I was like, I don't think anybody else will get my other two.
I didn't know that song was that impactful on you. So I'm learning something about my own brother today.
Yeah, it's been in my life and in kind of like my head for a long time, probably, and yeah, at least at some time in high school. So
okay. I actually did when I came up with my list, I Googled the general topic to see if I missed something obvious that like I would regret later on. And that song actually came up a few times. So you're not alone in seeing it that way.
Well, it's actually funny because shout out to friend of the show and friend of CGN, Natasha Morelli. One time, because we're in the same congregation, and she likes to kind of like she manages special music a lot of the time. And so I've done a couple of things here and there. And one time she sent me, she's like, hey, what do you think about doing this? And it was a instrumental version of A Bridge Over Troubled Water, a flute and saxophone duo. And for those who don't know, I play saxophone, and we do have a flautist in the congregation. Never came to fruition, but I saved the PDF because I'm like, this is interesting. But yeah, so could be special music piece. You heard it here first.
Very cool. So
nice.
I think I said Rashida next, right? Yeah, because Abby's turn. Yep.
Yeah. So this is kind of in the same vein. It's actually "Let It Be Me" by Ray LaMontagne.
Good song.
And yes, I absolutely love the song. Seriously. And what I love is that it's not explicitly stated whether he's singing to a friend or a partner or a significant other, but he steps into their suffering and saying, I've been there, and basically saying, hey, if you need someone, let me be that pillar. And so when I heard it for the first time, I just bawled. I'm like, this is beautiful. And I didn't see it as a man saying this, but as like Christ saying this to us. And what's interesting is that as I've grown, I've listened to the song over the years, it's shifted for me where I no longer just receive those words, I began to offer them. So there's this ripple effect that I love with God's comfort. I think it's even stated in 2 Corinthians, I believe, through 1:3-4-ish, where the same consolation that we receive from the Father, we now extend that to others. And so I think we come out of suffering one or two ways. I think you can come out jaded, as Stephen mentioned, where it's like, okay, now I'm focusing on me, making sure that I'm hyper vigilant so I can keep myself protected. But I found the great side effect, at least for me, for suffering, is that it has given me such, a great depth of empathy. And so where I don't pity someone, I understand them. So I can always kind of relate to their circumstances in some kind of way, even if our circumstances don't align exactly in severity or in the details. It's like I can still understand it. So that's the beautiful thing about suffering for me. I think it actually it sands you down and makes you a soft place to land for others. So what I love about it is that it's saying that we aren't just healed, but become healers. And we're not just carried, but we carry others. So I think it's a beautiful example of how Christ shows up for us and how we, in turn, through his healing, can show up for others. So I love it.
Yeah, love it.
That's number one. That's a great pull. I did not expect Ray LaMontagne. I had like a whole phase in I guess it was the aughts, right? When he was big.
2006.
Such a big fan. There was a lot of good music coming out around that time.
Yes.
And he was one of the artists. And that's such a good point too, in terms of I've been meditating on a couple things recently, one of which is the nature of conversion and the necessity of struggle and failure and suffering, which are all related, but not necessarily the same thing, and how it refines us and changes us and creates things. I like the phrase you use, a soft place to land. That certainly is, when you've been through it. It's hard to not be understanding when you see someone else go through those same things or similar things.
Mhm.
Good list.
Yeah,
I also have, the great thing about this is that I respect everyone's musical taste so much, and I have no idea where anyone's going to go. So, Abby, you get two in a row now.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. I okay, so I don't know who that last artist you mentioned is. I have a real blind spot for music from like the 1990s and the 2000s. I don't know why, but it's like I never listened to that music growing up unless it's country, which Dan will hate. But sorry, I just like know 90s and 2000s country really well. But other than
Like
that,
classic
that's
country.
what?
I like classic country. I wasn't gonna find a way to put Hello Walls on the list.
No,
Yeah,
please don't,
yeah.
Dan.
No, but it's great. New artist for me to listen to. That's awesome. I always love new music. Okay, so it's funny. Steve said Simon and Garfunkel, and I went because I also have a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yes.
And it's probably the one that everybody thinks of. So it's Sound of Silence, but I think it's because there's so many people, I think, even in the world, who think that this song in particular is talking about something, like it's like making some kind of commentary on like maybe something that's like spiritual at least, or kind of a commentary on humanity or like the world as a whole. But it does sound like, I know that when a lot of church people listen to it, it sounds like something that you could draw a lot of like spiritual parallels to, given the lyrics of the song. Does anybody actually know what it's about? Because I do. Can I tell like a quick story?
Yeah, tell it.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what it's about.
Oh.
Here's the abridged version. Okay, so I don't remember who it is. It's either Simon or Garfunkel. Whoever wrote the song, one of the Russo boys. Do you know who wrote it?
Probably Paul Simon.
Paul Simon. Okay.
He did like 90% of their stuff. So
whereas my friend, one of the all-time memories I have from childhood is my friend trying to remember the name Simon and Garfunkel and instead saying Garfield and Funk, which is, I'm concerned, like the name of the band now.
Yep. And it was Paul Simon.
Close enough. Okay, Paul Simon, got it. Okay, so I think it's Paul Simon. So when he was in college and university, he had a friend. Actually, I think it might have been before that. He had like this friend when he was young who I think the story goes his friend got into an accident and he became blind. And it might have been while they were at school. And so his friend is newly blind and he can't see. And he's like, I don't want to stay in school. I have to relearn how to learn everything. And so Paul Simon, being his good friend, kind of goes above and beyond for him, convinces him to stay in school. He takes down all of his notes from his classes for him. He goes and he reads them to him every night when they're together, that he sits and he basically does the work of two students just so this one friend can continue to learn and stay in school. And then he continues to encourage his friend and be with him as he's kind of learning to navigate the world and get a job and all this stuff. And his friend, of course, this is a huge life change and it goes through a lot of emotional turmoil because of that. And but his friend, I think it goes that he used to call Paul Simon Darkness. He used to that was like his nickname for him because he couldn't see anything. So it was this voice in the darkness kind of
hello darkness, my old friend.
Right. So that first line is hello darkness, my old friend. That's from like this kind of connection that these two friends have. And there's a story where his blind friend he was with Paul Simon one day and they were out like in a city. And Paul Simon kind of left him somewhere. He said, I'll be right back. I'm going to go somewhere. And his friend was kind of left waiting somewhere. And after a while, Paul Simon didn't come back and he thought maybe something happened and he kind of had to figure out how to navigate his way from wherever he was back home. And it was very difficult and he was really scared and worried and everything. But he ended up being able to do it on his own, even though he couldn't see. And that whole, I think his friend's whole experience his friend talks about how much it meant to him that Paul Simon's friendship was like that, and that he kept continuing to support him through like this huge change. And he was ended up being somebody very successful and very confident in himself again after losing his sight. And so anyway, that's really what the song is about. It's about their friendship, and it's about his friends experience. But the thing that I love about music, and that I like when all of you are talking about how these different songs have impacted you, is that there really is, I mean, even if a song is not about something in particular, or it does have a specific story like Sound of Silence, you listen to it as the audience member or the listener, and then you apply your own interpretation of the song, and it gives you that, I think, personal, it almost is like you own that part of that song now too, and it's part of you now too. So
I do that so often.
Yeah, of course.
I do that so often.
So it's the principle of who was the man's neighbor, the Levite, the priest, or Paul Simon in this game.
It's Paul Simon.
Who's my neighbor?
Fun fact about Simon and Garfunkel, they went to the high school my dad taught at for like 20 plus years, Forest Hills in Queens. They're New Yorkers.
Yeah.
So
and I have two fun facts about that. I have a friend from high school who went to his grandmother went to high school with Simon and Garfunkel. And second, Sound of Silence is actually the song that got them big. What happened was that they kind of got together, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel, and they recorded it completely acoustic. Like it was just Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. They released it and nothing happened. A producer comes along and adds all of the backing stuff to it, and becomes a massive hit. And they're like, you guys need to come back and do a full album now. And so that's actually really what got them to stardom, and became one of the best musical duos of all time.
Okay.
That's really cool. See, this is why good producers matter. Sorry, I'm like so in the producer world lately. Everything musical, I'm like, I worry about who produces the songs. Okay. My next choice, I've been listening to a lot of 21 Pilots lately. I don't know if anybody was like a big 21 Pilots fan back in the 2010s. Yes, thank you, Rashida. Okay. So they're great, and so much of their music is so profound and so lyrically beautiful and deep, and there's a lot of emotion in 21 Pilots music. Their first album, their self-titled album, the first song on the album is called Implicit Demand for Proof, which is a very good song. Again, it's one of those ones where I don't really know how spiritual either of those guys are, but it certainly sounds like it. It's a song that does kind of, I think, questions God, but it's one of those songs where it's like questioning like your belief and why, like what it means to, I think, believe in God or search for meaning or search for a higher power or something like that. It's a really beautiful song. It's got a really pretty piano intro, and yeah, I like it.
I got thrown off because you said,
I think we said the same thing.
You said 21 Pilots, 2010s. I'm like, what? Weren't they like a 90s band? Like, no, that's Stone Temple.
Stone Temple Pilots. No. I thought the same thing. The same thing. Like, Stone Temple Pilots are old. I'm pretty sure that's also a completely different genre.
Yeah, I didn't even listen to them growing up.
No, I don't think I could even name a Stone Temple Pilots song.
We're old. Okay, so 21 Pilots, and it was what was it, Implicit?
It's called Implicit Demand for Proof.
It's a good
one.
Yeah,
they have so many songs that you could really like look at through a spiritual lens, but it's a really good song.
Okay, very cool. Rashida, you're up next.
I'm next. Okay. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's go. It's Take Me to the Alley by Gregory Porter.
Like Gregory Porter.
I love Gregory Porter.
Love that, man. Every time I listen to it, I just see it as the Sermon on the Mountain song. Seriously, the way he just kind of encompasses, pardon me, Matthew 25, and also just saying it's like a parable where he's reimagining like the second coming of Christ, but where everyone has laid out these beautiful things and this grandeur, he completely says, no, take me to the alley, take me to the afflicted ones. And it's so beautiful to me because that's exactly what Christ came to do, is to go to the weak in spirit and those who were out on the outskirts and the outcasts. And it actually kind of reminds me of my father as well. So when I think about it, I think about how before we became a home fellowship, we were in this church that was like in the middle of the south side of Chicago, right in Hyde Park. And we rented a building that was it was like a church owned by the University of Chicago. So we rented every Sabbath. And the people that would just come in looking for warmth, looking for a friendly face, looking for food. And then some would come every week. They're like, oh, I know I got to come to church every week. And first they came for basic needs, but then they came for the spiritual food. And so it was just beautiful how, I don't know, we could reach the afflicted ones. So it really just reminds me of my father and his ministry and the church and what Christ came to do, and how even where I think it says in James that the poor are rich in spirit and are and heirs to the kingdom. And so it just reminds me of that. I think it's just scripture and song, and it's beautiful to me. So
I
gets me
also
every time.
he's got one of the best voices out there.
Great.
He's on my bucket list to see. He's like there are only a few I haven't seen live of artists I like that I really need to find a way to see, and he's one of them.
Well, too bad you're going to Winter Family Weekend, Dan, because he's coming to DC at the Kennedy Center at the end of December.
Course.
Darn.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
begged my parents
Have
to
to
go see him
fellowship
because
with
he did
brethren, Steve.
It's Gregory Porter, Dan.
I got my parents into him because actually he was doing a free concert in Chicago and Grant Park. And I'm like, guys, you need to go. They're like, oh, well, we don't know this guy. I'm like, go, go. Because I was in school at the time. I was in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, go for me. And they're like, oh, man, man's amazing. And he hasn't done a free concert since. So I'm really upset about it. Like, yeah, gosh.
His tickets are expensive.
They are. They
I mean, it's
are.
also the Kennedy Center, so I'm like, okay, it's
Yeah.
going to be expensive anyway, but
Yeah. Okay,
we'll see.
Steve, what's your second one?
Oh man, I'll also say if we do come back to honorable mentions, a bunch of things that Rashida mentioned the first time and that Abby mentioned on her second one are things that I connect to other songs as well. But I would say I won't do them now in case somebody has them later. They are not on my list, but
I'm nervous
if it
about
comes
this
up.
choice because
I know you're not going to pick this.
Okay.
I'm going to preface this song saying this is one of the songs I picked because we're talking about like conversion and stuff, right? Like in terms of what are some things that are big songs that talk about conversion. And I think this song's one that actually talks about like the overcoming of addiction
Mm.
and I think there are a lot of these kinds of songs, but I picked this one in particular because I kind of rediscovered it over the last year or two, and it's by one of my favorite guitar players of all time, hands down, and it's a song you wouldn't necessarily associate with him, but but this has been a huge part of his life before he died because he died suddenly in the 90s, but he he wrote this song on the last album that came out was posthumously. So after he died, the song came out, and it is "Life by the Drop" by Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Mm.
and it's about his time, like how he lived as an alcoholic and how it almost killed him, and now that he's like being out of that, because like one of the lines, and of course I didn't actually bring up the lyrics before, and I'm gonna forget them as I go through this, but he does talk about like um how like there's no like turning up the past and like all these kind of things like the wasted time day and day, but like he's alive now and then he has to make the best of it, which is makes his story even sadder because he died in a helicopter crash in 1990, for those who don't know his story. But one of the greatest guitar players, blues guitar players of all time. As BB King said, he saved the blues in the early 80s, and he was a force.
Mhm.
His music is not for everyone, but if you like blues and you like a lot of guitar blues, this is Steve Ray Vaughan, and this is very different. It's all
Yeah.
acoustic. It's acoustic. It's
Great
just
song.
him. Yeah, just him and his 12 string. Because usually he does 12 string acoustic for whatever reason. That was his thing. But yeah, I was just a really great song, very different for him. But knowing his story of coming out of alcoholism and how he almost died on tour because he was just drinking so much, and Life by the Drop, that which I think came out in like 91, was kind of his song to say like it's been wonderful to not be living life by the drop,
Mhm.
and drop being drop of alcohol. So
I also have found, to add to that, Steve, that my some of my favorite people are people who um, have dealt with addiction or who see themselves going through conversion through the lens of whatever the issues they're struggling with through the lens of addiction, right? Maybe they're not classically considered addictions you might go to rehab for. But I also
Yeah.
know plenty of folks who did have those sorts of addictions, and they always have a depth of perspective on the human condition that I think is sort of impossible to replicate unless you see yourself through that lens. And part of addiction is realizing uh, the inability of yourself to just like bootstrap your way up, that knowing, understanding what led to it, understanding that you're always going to be dealing with it. It's always there, even when you're clean for 10, 20, 30 years, which I think is a very
Yeah.
spiritually valuable principle.
Yeah, and this is interesting because he wrote this song like 4 or 5 years after he like got clean. But for during that time period, he would actually use a different song called "Life Without You," which I looked at the lyrics and
That's a
like
great one.
this got close,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it was not quite what I was looking for this particular exercise. But during that time, whenever he would do it live, he stops and just talks to the audience for 5 minutes about his story.
I do remember that.
And
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he does that. He's just like, I almost died, did this, and it's like just the drummer keeping a beat and just Steve Ray Vaughan just talking to the audience.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it's quite interesting how he is kind of that he took that on, which is, we talk about guys who you would love to have seen live, where you're like, if you're playing music, if you're resurrected and you play music for any time, can I see Stevie Ray Vaughan play live? I want to see him play. But yeah, he seemed like he really turned his life around, and yeah.
That's a good pick, a good pull. So mine is going to surprise Steve, and I will say this one. This has been my favorite song from this artist since I've known them or known of them. I don't know the person, and I realized it had to be number 2 on my list while compiling this list. It wasn't like, oh, this is on my short list for it, but it immediately got on because I actually read the lyrics for the first time. "Stranger in a Strange Land" by Leon Russell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song. And it's a very similar message to "If I Ever Lose My Faith in You." And Liam Russell, for context, very much came out of the gospel background. He's a very famous songwriter. He actually was part of the sort of studio musician songwriting apparatus for a long time. He wrote
the LA Wrecking Crew, right?
Yeah, he was part of the Wrecking Crew for a bit. He wrote songs and did things with Sinatra for a bit, and then but gospel is his real thing. Like, he's from the South. That's his bag. And this song has always been my favorite just musically, but it is all about looking around at the world and seeing madness and seeing people treating each other poorly and seeing confusion and all these things. And there are very direct allusions to Christ. And I think the line is, with the burrow in the palace of the king, and shares his bed of hay with a burrow in the palace of the king. Like, there are allusions to Christ being born. And obviously the phrase is out of scripture. And that's one of the phrases I most often associate with life as a Christian is you're a sojourner, you're a stranger in a strange land. And to see this guy who's not going through conversion, but can see the, sort of futility and issues with the human existence and how people treat each other. And he's like completely on point the whole time. Like, there are a lot of songs that are close, right? Like, they're like, oh, that's a really good idea, but this stuff is off base, so like that wouldn't make the list. This one doesn't have any of that. He even calls out mythology and astrology as bad things. Like, it's just really interesting content. He talks about we're racing towards oblivion and being in a sad state. So it's a great song. I highly recommend it. Again, not for everyone. His voice is very niche, I guess. Oh, is V?
My cats, y'all, if you see my cats on camera, it's their world. I'm just living in it. So
I have 3 of them. It kind of is.
Yeah. Did you also look at Prince of Peace? Because I know he's got another one called Prince of Peace. I love that one too. I
mean, there's a lot of sort of on the nose gospel religious stuff, but I didn't choose that one. And it's also kind of like a weird lyric. Like, you don't overlook a passing stranger because he could be the Prince of Peace returning. I'm like, well, no, not really. Like, that's not how Christ comes again. But but Stranger in Strange Lands, dynamite.
Yeah.
So my last song, this one was tough. There were a lot of other uh, good choices. I think this one's going to surprise folks, and I think I'm actually kind of glad I'm going before Rashida and Abby because I thought there was a non-zero chance that they might steal this song from me.
Okay.
But it's Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell.
Oh, that's a great song. That's a
Fantastic
great
song.
song.
Man, I almost chose that.
Yeah,
Thank goodness I didn't. Okay, great.
and it is, when you first hear it, it sounds very sing-songy, which is sort of the point. I think it's a very artful way to do it. It sounds like a nursery rhyme, and it's sort of all about that. It's about, and I relate very much to it in terms of the idea of growing older and learning through experiences. Yet as you go through them, man, you know what? The illusion, I still recall the illusions. I still don't really live in reality with a lot of these things that are important. Um, and you sort of come out feeling like those experiences are really valuable, but maybe you know less than you thought, and that's a very humbling. That's what conversion's been for me. It's like you go through things, and there's this constant reassessing and um, rehumbling of the realization of the need for God, that we know nothing. That, I mean, I've said before in messages sometimes that we know less than nothing because the things we do think we know and apply cause damage. Like, it'd be almost better if we knew nothing and applied it as such. But so I think the sentiment she talks about of navigating pride and her dreams and going through romantic relationships, yet still recalling the illusions. And I think there's also part of all of us, both with things like romantic relationships and just in life, where the illusions are more comforting than the reality. So we want to remember the illusion of it. And I think it's gorgeous. There are not that many songs that can bring me close to tears, but like, I think this is beautiful.
Now, are you referencing the one that she did again in 2000 with Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter,
So
or
I never
actually the
heard
original?
that. So I know.
Okay.
So when I
My
was, because
goodness.
my original plan, which went out the window, was I was going to give the song title, the artist, like the album it came off of in the year.
Okay.
But when I googled, like, oh, what album was that? I don't really remember. It wasn't, Court and Spark or anything, and it
Okay.
was it was called Clouds, which makes sense.
Okay, that's the
Given the
original.
lyrics
Got
of
it.
the original in 1966, but the first
Oh.
that came up was the album Both Sides Now, because I think she named the album that
She
in
did.
the jazz one. So like,
Oh, it's so good.
yeah,
And you're hearing, and it's like she's actually speaking from a more mature place. She's older now. And
Mhm.
so
that
now
is
she's kind of, there's
amazing.
this reflective, introspective way that she's singing it now. Oh gosh. And
Yeah.
her and Herbie, it's magical. It's amazing. So
Herbie itself, right? It's like
it's right.
you just said Herbie, and I was like, I'm
Itself.
in. I'm
There,
in.
there's something so interesting about artists who sing a song at one point in their life and then they sing it again at another point in their life, and how you can hear it in their voice, like how they think about the song changes, how they think about, like, at least the really good ones. You can hear like how their perspective has shifted over their time. It's very interesting.
There's also something incredible about a song that stands the test of time within someone's life, like Both Sides
Mm,
Now, or These Days by Jackson Brown. He wrote it at 16, but he sung it his whole life, and it's an extremely mature song. Where then there are other ones that you wonder and you'd have to imagine the person hates singing it 2 decades later. Like, I can't imagine John Mayer likes getting up there at 45 and singing "Your Body Is a Wonderland." It probably
Yeah.
feels ridiculous doing it.
I
Um,
don't know. It's John Mayer. He might like it.
That's why he's been playing with Dead and Company.
that's a fair point. Um, but yeah, actually, and I like her original version, very stripped down. It's just her and her guitar. But I actually think my favorite version is Glenn Campbell's version, which I know is kind of
oh,
blasphemous, but I think he has such a good
Hmm.
version of Both Sides.
Interesting. I actually just looked it up, and it said one of the first recordings was actually Judy Collins.
That makes a lot of
Wait,
sense.
okay.
it's Joni Mitchell wrote it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
she
she
did.
wrote it, but it just said that one of the first recordings of it is also Judy Collins.
Yeah, she does
There you
it. She does it as well. You're about to destroy my reality, Steve. If that wasn't
No,
No.
she wrote the song. She wrote it.
I do love Judy Collins though. So okay, so we're back to Steve on the turn.
With my hot take one, which I thought about not doing it,
Oh,
but I was like, it's
yeah.
too good. It's too good to not do it. right? And this goes back to some of the like context, like a couple people have already mentioned. I don't remember if it was Abby and Rashida or Rashida, or maybe both of you said this, but it's been funny because I've been listening to songs now about and really thinking it through the context of the walk of just, if Christ was saying it, right, there's those kinds of things as well. Um, yeah, and there's just so many of those songs. Like I wrote my own story to songs all the time. And I can reference a couple of other songs, but I could do that later. But the song I'm gonna pick is the one that we were referencing on our production call, and that is Vertical Horizon's Everything You Want.
Oh my, yes.
Well,
Number
Yes.
one hit of
Oh, that's
1999, by the way.
I'm so
Number
happy
one
right
hit.
now. Okay.
Yeah, that album, by the way, the Everything You Want
the
album
top 10 albums
is
of all time.
one of the greatest albums of all time. It is so good. It
Yes.
is from top to bottom. Every song is fantastic, and Everything You Want's interesting because you're listening to it, and when you actually like read the lyrics, you're kind of like you're like, okay, well, like 90% of the songs are love songs, so I'm assuming this is a love song, right? And it's this unrequited love song about, and for those who don't know the chorus, right, it's he's everything you want, he's everything you need, he's everything inside of you that you wish you could be. He says all the right things at exactly the right time, but he means nothing to you, and you don't know why. And then he turns it on its head at the end. And if you're thinking this is a love song, you're like, this guy's just self-centered because instead of saying he's saying, I am everything you want, I am everything you need, and I am everything inside of you that you wish you could be. But if you think about that, if the song's about Christ or spoken from like Christ is singing the song, and he's like, I am everything you want, I am everything you need, I'm everything inside of you that you wish you could be. And then he says, like, I say all the right things at exactly the right time. And the last line is like, but I mean nothing to you, and I don't know why. And that's kind of, and that hits hard because that so many people go through life like that. And that's like this conversion, right? It's like we understand that Christ is what we need, that he completes us to a degree, and that so often we can't get to that point. And right, it's human. It's also humanizing it. Like Christ knows why we are not doing that. But in putting it in that perspective, it's such an interesting lyrical turn, which it also just it doesn't make him sound like an arrogant guy, right? It was like, well, I'm everything you want, right? So if it was about somebody else, and I didn't actually look up to see if they wrote the song. My gut is it probably is just a love song, an unrequited love song, and he's just upset. But there's so many stories. Like I have this thing too that I write my own story to Semi-Charmed Life as well. That actually this guy is going through all these things. He's doing all the drugs. He's doing all the stuff. But then at the end, he's like, "But I want something else because this is not working."
Okay.
And that's how I think of it, right? And it's like and Ďeňan Jenkins even said like that's not what the song's about. But like I want it to be that, and so I make it that way.
Well, I don't think the Vertical Horizon thing's that far because I actually know that I told Abby about that album and she listened to it and her first text to me was, "Is this a Christian band?"
Yeah. No. It wasn't a Vertical Horizon album. It was Third Eye Blind.
No.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Okay.
That's even worse.
Third Eye Blind is a Christian band.
No, definitely for sure. Listen, you're all giggling, but I like
which
it's
album?
the album it's the Third Eye Blind album that you like the best, Dan. I listened to that and I went, I asked if it was like, is this like a Christian group? Because like, I don't know, some of it does kind of sound it's just very introspective. There's a lot of lyrics in that album, but
I will say that Stephen, I mean, we're going away from Vertical Horizon, but Third Eye Blind is a good conversation to have here because right, they were around the same time. But yeah, Ďeňan Jenkins is a fantastic lyricist, and he has a couple of really awesome songs. I mean, I almost put down for like the addiction one because I kind of wanted one to be about addiction. They have a song, it's one of my favorite songs, top 5 favorite song of all time. It's the last one on their self-titled album. It's called God of Wine, which I think it's actually like about, it's sort of autobiographical, but I don't know, about some like a kid or man in his case dealing with his alcoholic mother and like trying to be there for his mother, but realizing no, this is not working. And that's an incredible song, super sad. So many of their songs are very sad, which has made me think like Christian band, interesting. But but
Or I
Vertical
think
Horizon sounds more like it.
yeah.
If I were to be true, but yeah, I mean, I really like Third Eye Blind also has a song called Darwin where they kind of like
Uh-huh.
rip apart and Darwin. They can, there's some vulgarity in that song,
Mhm.
but the interesting like chorus is we're lacking something good.
Yeah.
Is this all for nothing, right? There's like those kind of things. So I take that and I put it together with Semi-Charmed Life and I get my own story.
We're the
Um,
only Church of God podcast to have mentioned Third Eye Blind, Vertical Horizon, and Stone Temple Pilots all in the same episode.
yeah, but I will say though, Everything You Want, fantastic song. I've always thought that final chorus was like also just great lyrically. I like that turnaround. But yeah, it's really just a fantastic song, and think about it from the perspective of Christ, and it makes it better.
Mhm.
I like
Cool.
it.
So Rashida, your final selection.
Oh, I'm so jazzed by that last one. Okay, let's see. This was almost an honorable mention, but I just love it too much. I had to pick it. So it's Iron Sky by Paolo Nutini.
Ooh, Paolo
Oh, I didn't
Nutini.
realize you were speaking
Yeah.
my language.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. This was my odds. It was Ray LaMontagne and Paolo Nutini.
Oh,
And
really? Oh,
in
Yeah.
Continuum.
fantastic. Great minds. I'm loving it. When I heard this, it actually reminded me of the book of Hosea. It was like, okay, this
Mm.
is a prophetic call to action. Even though there's one line that I don't agree with, and it just shows that he's very jaded by passive religion, where he says, we find gods and religions to paint us with salvation. And I'm like, oh, you're missing the whole point of what we actually need, what you need to rise above the
Mhm.
fear, and what's happening now. But it just, again, other than that line, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one. It actually just where Hosea exposed false prosperity under Jeroboam II. It's like Nutini is basically saying, okay, let's expose false freedom, where there's this freedom that's being sold to you. The nation is asleep at the wheel. It's numbing itself rather than awakening. So it's like this wake up call to realize, hey, you need to wake up. We are. What's the one line that there's? Oh gosh, there's so many lines in the song that I absolutely adore, where he actually even references Stevie Wonder, like we're proud individuals living for the city, but the flames
Mhm.
couldn't go much higher. Or when he mentions that there's mass confusion being spoon fed to the blind, I'm like, oh, yes, you understand what's going on. But my favorite part of the song is when he actually takes an pardon me, of Charlie Chaplin's speech from The Great Dictator
Ah.
and
Wow.
includes, oh, it's so powerful. Like, you are not machines, you are men. Like, it's so powerful and then goes right back in. So it's a prophetic call to action. And I'm actually noticing a kind of a through line with all of my songs. It's mostly leaning on the second commandment, where the first one is love God with all your heart, your mind, and your spirit. And the second one is love each other as you love yourselves. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, we got to take care of one another. I think, at least nowadays, I can speak to this. We've become so insular where everyone's against us. It's enemy versus enemy. It's always a versus. And there's this apathy that's growing, and it's kind of scary a little bit, but it's prophetical. And so I listen to
Mhm.
the song to remember, just kind of remind myself, okay, this is what's happening. This is the prophecy. This is how it's going to go down. But Christ God, he knows exactly what he's doing. But it's powerful. I absolutely adore the song.
I'm so happy you chose Paolo Nutini. Did not expect that in a million years. Is that off the was it Caustic Love album? The not
Yes, one of
one
my favorite
on
albums of
that.
his.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
that's so cool.
so good, so good.
Okay,
Great call outs. I love this.
Abby, you're closing us out here.
I know. I feel so silly. Like I genuinely there's like a big I love like new music. So if you see me looking down, I'm just writing all these songs down that I don't know that you guys have mentioned, which I don't know like hardly any of them. But it's yeah, I spend all my time listening to other stuff. Okay. My last pick is Sign of the Times by Harry Styles.
Ah,
And it's I don't know what
Okay.
this song is about, and I don't want to know because I think whenever I listen to it, for some reason, like since I've heard it and since I listened to it, I really, really like the song. It's considered probably one of his best in his like solo discography, just because it's this like big anthemic song.
A really good
But
voice.
there's so many lyrics in it that seem just very reflective about, yeah, I don't know, something else. The lines I'm thinking of off the top of my head are like, welcome to the final show. I hope you're wearing your best clothes. You can't bribe the door on your way to the sky. That's a really interesting line. I know that we don't believe in going to heaven, but it's kind of this line about the end and then what's after the end. And then at the like end of the song, his outro, he just repeats the line, uh we've got to get away, or something like that. And about how we don't, there's a part in the bridge too where he says, we don't open up and we don't talk enough. And I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of lyrics in there that I've always felt like, huh, it's really interesting kind of thought about. I don't know if he's talking about a particular person or just about people in general. I know that in his own experience, he has dealt with maybe addiction, but something like that. And that's so common for musicians. So, but for a lot of people. And so I think like, yeah, you're right. I think Rashida, what you said about how we can feel really insulated and not connected to people. Yeah, not to make Harry Styles really deep or anything, but I just think it's a really pretty song. So
Good choice. He's one of those guys where like I like a couple of his songs, but I always feel like if he did a more root style of music, I'd just be like hook, line, and sinker in with his music.
mm.
Okay, so we have that's the draft. Our top three each. We had a couple things we wanted to do at the end real quick, like rapid fire. So we wanted to do our favorite hymns. Or like
I thought you wanted to draft hymns.
Can we do honorable mentions?
Oh yeah.
Like 7
mentions. We also wanted to mention. No, we weren't going to draft hymns.
I think that's more intense because like that's a limited amount of songs.
Yeah,
that actually would be fun.
Maybe.
How about this, Dan?
You do a cliffhanger.
Put it in the comments. Do you guys want a podcast where we draft hymns? Do that. I think that would be great.
We're gonna do one.
Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. Well, let's see what the demand is. But I have so many songs that are honorable mentions. Yeah. I would like to just comment on a couple of them.
That's a good point, and I think that's a good idea, Abby, because I think it could be its own episode, and you'd probably get sniped more. And
definitely.
There's also like you'd see which category of hymn each person would choose. Like, is it newer? Is it the Dwight Armstrong? Is it like Americana or something like that? So that could be a good episode. But yeah, we'll do honorable mentions instead because I think we all have some. So let's start with the ladies. How about Rashida? What were your honorable mentions?
I had a few. I'm going to give you 3, or I'll give you 2. I'll give you 2 because these I was really debating. This was really hard for me. No, I'll do 3. So one was Morning Sun by Melody Gardot.
Melody Gardot,
crushing it.
Absolutely love it. Has gotten me through the darkest days. Seriously, she's fantastic.
Very good.
Another one was In Your Light by Gautier. I love the whole Making Mirrors album is
yes
seriously perfect.
Top 15.
That was definitely one of them. And then my last one was actually Condolence by Benjamin Clementine.
Another one. Okay.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's basically, for me, the male Nina Simone. He's from London. Okay. He's amazing. And so the song is basically a soliloquy to himself where he's been through this trial before and he's not losing hope and he's kind of talking himself through it. And then at the end, what I love is he's saying, I'm sending my condolence to fear. I'm sending my condolence to insecurities. But he's fantastic. I'm trying to think where he shows up. Oh, okay. Do any of you watch, what is it called? That Apple TV show, The Morning Show?
No. I've heard of it.
No,
okay. Yeah. Well, he does the theme song, Nemesis, which is also fantastic. Yes. Cool. But yeah, no, he's amazing. Benjamin Clementine, check him out.
Gautier again, too. I didn't expect that.
Dude, Gautier, yes.
How about you, Abby?
Oh, in terms of like honorable mentions, there's so many. I had like, it's weird because like when I thought about the prompt, I thought about it in 2 ways. I thought about songs that are not spiritual, but like you could listen to it in a spiritual context. And then I thought about songs that talk a lot about faith, but aren't necessarily like Christian or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe that's like the same thing, but 2 different ways of looking at it. But there's lots. There's Hand of God by John Bellion, which is a really good song. There's a song called Show Me What I'm Looking For by Carolina Lyre, which is like a standout song from like the 2010s or something. It's like the only thing that I think that band is known for. Will You Be There by Michael Jackson. I really love that song. It's probably my favorite Michael Jackson song.
The best Michael Jackson song.
Yes, it is the best. I think it's arguably the best. And then there's a song called Be Still by The Fray, which is really good. And then there's also a song called Stand Still by Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's little sister, that's also very good. And it's about her addiction, which is very interesting.
Which one from The Fray? I didn't hear the title.
It's called Be Still. That song is very, very, to me, sounds very spiritual. The whole song, it says be still and know that I am here or something like that. Like that's it's very
Mm.
beautiful. It's a I heard it because it's in an episode of the Vampire Diaries. Don't worry about that. It's a good
Oh, nice.
If I look up the lyrics to "Will You Be There" and really like it, and I'm gonna instantly regret I didn't choose it, but I like my.
Mm.
I know that was the one I was like, Dan might pick "Will You Be There" by Michael Jackson, which is such a great song. Yeah,
There's nothing
Yeah.
more biblical than orca whales.
Yes, no, Free
it's
Willy, man.
saving an orca whale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Steve?
All right, so I had so many. I'm gonna put them into categories. So they're the first
26
yeah.
songs.
Yeah, the first category is actually like songs from like these we were kind of talking about like the songs that are about God in some way, shape, or form, but for secular artists. So one, "Pride of Man" by Gordon Lightfoot
That's good.
was a very good song. Love
That's
that
one,
one.
yes.
Two, the Righteous Brothers actually do a song called "He," which is about God.
Yep.
And
Got it.
then also Stevie Wonder's "Have a Talk with God."
Yeah. Of course. It's one of my,
Yes.
one of my honorable
Of
mentions.
course.
Yes.
One of
Yeah.
the funkiest
So
songs too.
yeah. And then oh man, I'll just throw out also Stevie Wonder, which funny enough, it's a song right before it on Songs in the Key of Life, "Love's in Need of Love Today,"
Okay.
That's a good one.
which is a good one.
It's been a minute.
And then let's see, how do I want to break this up? Okay, so let's do ones that there's two Stevie Wonder tunes. You can tell I love Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Two Stevie Wonder tunes that are also very critical and I think that are interesting. And I looked up the lyrics to one because I think this is one of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs of all time, and that's "Jesus Children of America." And that one is very like you guys aren't doing the right thing here. Like look at what you're doing. Like because that first section is like, are you hearing what he's saying? Are you feeling what you're praying? Are you hearing, praying, feeling what you say inside? Right? Like the whole idea of like, are you being genuine? And it's like, again, going back to that hypocrisy, like, are you actually being real here?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
To pause there for a bit too, the thing that I think
Yeah.
applies to that and to even the line, Rashida, that you pulled out of the Paolo Nutini song, I actually, especially from our perspective, I completely understand the artist's distrust and dislike of organized religion.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's deserved. Like it's a legitimate issue to see hypocrisy, to see. I mean, and I think that's what the beautiful thing about the Church of God understanding is that the answer is the coming kingdom of God. We don't know the way to peace, and
Yep.
and so you have one side. I mean, it's not necessarily this binary, but you have one side of the aisle who sees legitimate wrongs in society and then comes up with their own answer, and that's an ideology. And then you have the other side who sees the hypocrisy of organized religion and things like that, and they come up with their own answer. Both sides do not have sufficient information. They don't have the knowledge of God. They have the knowledge of good and evil. And so the ultimate answer is truly speaking to the reality that both see and just going, the answer is not in your hands. The only answer is God. So go and pull out, Steve.
Yeah, another one in that too, which got him some flack back in the 70s, was when Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull wrote "My God," which is about that. Like I think more going after like the Anglican Church because because he's from the British Isles.
It's a very niche attack.
Yeah, if you like rock flute, that's a great song. He's got like a 4-minute rock flute solo in it. It's great. And then the other Stevie Wonder tune though that's very critical. And honestly, it's funny because I think people think of it just from the title and think it's a song about superstition, but superstition is actually saying it's not the way to go.
Yep.
Right? It's going through all those things and saying superstition ain't the way, but people just think, oh, it's about superstition, you shouldn't be that way. No, it's attacking it, which is interesting. Also, great song. Stevie Wonder played the drums on that, by the way, if you didn't know. And then there's a couple of other songs I want to mention. I almost thought, Dan, that you would mention this song because I listened to it closely
If you
last
keep
year.
listing songs, you will mention.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dan. I thought you were going to put this one in your main three, which is Dan Fogelberg's "Part of the Plan."
So that is one of my absolute favorites. There is one line at the end that prevents it.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm like, okay, you're missing actually the point. But up until
Yeah.
that song got me through some rough times in my life. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was close to it.
Also, very good song.
Yeah.
Similar song about the addiction element. Steppenwolf's "It's Never Too Late."
Yes. Yeah.
Great
Amazing.
song.
Steppenwolf is-
Steppenwolf, so good. They're just really known for like "Born to Be Wild" and "Magic Carpet Ride,"
Mhm.
but they got some other bangers in there.
They do.
And then final one, I almost picked this one over "Everything You Want." It's again like the song. If you change the context, that it's it. "In Your Eyes" by Peter Gabriel.
No,
It's on my short list.
Yeah.
it's on my list. I'm so glad. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
"In Your Eyes" by
God.
Peter Gabriel. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
listening to it the other day, or like months ago, and I was like, "Oh,
It was
oh,
it wasn't
okay."
like really in contention for me, but it was
Yeah.
on like the general list. But the ones I had were
Yeah, because I'm done.
I was gonna do Have a Talk with God, but
Yep.
Samson and Delilah, the Grateful Dead do a song called Samson and Delilah.
Oh,
It's
Which is
just-
also it's a Peter Paul and Mary song.
Yeah,
If I
it's-
Had My Way.
yeah, it's like kind of completely redone though. Like a lot of the lyrics aren't the same.
Oh, I thought they are. I thought it was mostly the same lyrics.
No, it's actually it's quite different, but they are generally speaking very similar songs. If I Had My Way, Samson Delilah, it's just chronicling that story, but it's got such a good groove. One of Garcia's best solos are in there. And then there's a song, Ledges by Noah Gunderson, which is I love the line in the chorus, which is "Here I stand at the edge of ledges I have made," which again very much is something I relate to in conversion, where like these are issues I've made in my life. Like I need God's governance in my life as an individual. I am not capable of governing myself. And that's him struggling with his own drinking issues, but reflecting and realizing I have a lot of good stuff in my life, but here I stand at the edge of ledges I've made. And then my favorite song of all time, period, which is "Farther On" by Jackson Brown. That one, it's more just, I think it's one of the most mature, reflective takes on romantic love in a way that is reflective in the kind of intensity that conversion requires as you go through those. And there's some general religious terminology and allusions that he makes in terms of as he creates the picture. That's not the emphasis of the song though. But I think in terms of like a personal hymn for me that I relate to in terms of what I've lived through and experienced, "Farther On" was one for me. But I didn't put it on because it's not necessarily I think an easily accessible sort of connection to make with that song. But those are mine. I did consider "In Your Eyes," and I know that "Gotta Serve Somebody" is a pretty fun tune by Bob Dylan. So that's a good one during his, I think, like religious phase in the 70s. But that's the podcast, everybody. That was a good one. That went exactly how I had hoped with everyone's choices and commentary. So
Yes.
you could see why these folks were picked. Everyone is very in the details of their music taste, which is excellent. We are going to bring the same crew back to do a similar one about movies in the not too distant future. And apparently
as you should.
Yeah, and apparently because that's the other thing too. So Abby's a big movie buff, Steve's a huge movie buff. But I wouldn't know if I'd consider myself the same level, but I like some pretty interesting movies. And so does Rashida. Rashida and I have been bonding on the Criterion Collection thing. The 70s movies are my thing. So we will do that. And I think we just decided that we're going to do a draft of hymns apparently as well. So we'll get this same crew on for that. And maybe, I don't know. We don't know what we'll do with the hymns. Maybe we'll have like a 8-person panel or something. See how many people we can add to the pod before it gets unruly. Thanks, Steve and Abby and Rashida, for joining us. It was a good time.
It was. Thanks for having me.
Always fun.
Well, see you guys.